At the beginning of the film, we are introduced to an elderly woman named Laura. Laura's story is remarkable because, back in 1960, she broke barriers as the first female manager at the London Diamond Corporation. In those days, the idea of a woman holding such a high-ranking position was practically unheard of. She was incredibly dedicated and earned her place through sheer hard work, which gained her immense trust within the company's financial circles. When a reporter asks her about the secret behind her massive success, Laura does something unexpected. She pulls a stunning diamond out of her bag and shows it to her. It was an incredibly rare and precious gem. Laura calmly reveals that she actually stole it from the London Diamond Corporation herself. This happened back in the 60s while she was still an employee there. Despite being a highly skilled manager, she had been stuck in the same position for 6 years without a single promotion. The scene then shifts to the past, taking us inside the London Diamond Corporation in 1960. A high-stakes board of directors meeting was underway. They were there to select a new managing director. Even though Laura's performance was far superior to anyone else's, she was completely overlooked for the role. The reality of that era was that men were always prioritized for leadership, no matter what. This unfair treatment left Laura feeling deeply frustrated. She went back to her office, picked up a pen, and wrote a note to herself. It said, "Don't give up. Work harder, and you will win." She truly believed that if she just kept pushing, success would eventually follow. After writing those words, she tried to get back to her daily routine. That's when a man named Hobbs came by to see her. Hobbs worked as a janitor in the building. After a brief conversation with Laura, he went about his way. Eventually, the workday ended and Laura headed home. The next morning, she arrived at her desk to find a mysterious letter waiting for her. Inside the envelope was a movie ticket and the very same note she had written to herself the day before. However, the person who sent it had added a chilling new line to her message. It read, "No, you won't." The implication was clear. She was never going to win in this system. There was a showtime written on the back of the movie ticket. Driven by curiosity, Laura went to the cinema to find out who was behind this. To her absolute shock, she found Hobbs sitting there. Seeing him, Laura immediately turned to leave. But Hobbs stopped her and said, "Wait, Laura. I'm the one who called you here." He then got straight to the point and revealed his true intentions. He told Laura that he planned to pull off a diamond heist at the London Diamond Corporation, and he specifically needed her help to make it happen. The moment she heard the word theft, Laura was horrified. Without a second thought, she refused to be a part of it. But Hobbs told her not to make a hasty decision. He warned her that all her dreams were about to come crashing down anyway. He claimed he had overheard a private meeting where the board discussed firing her. Laura didn't believe a word he said and walked away. But the next day, she went into the office and started digging through the files. She soon discovered the cold, hard truth. Hobbs wasn't lying. The company she gave her life to was actually preparing to let her go. She was devastated. She had given everything to this job and maintained a perfect track record. Yet, they were throwing her away like she meant nothing. Fueled by a mix of hurt and rage, she decided to join Hobbs in his plan. The following day, she met him at the dog racing track. This time, she had done her homework on Hobbs. She looked at him and said, "You have no family left. Your wife passed away 15 years ago. Then, who exactly are you stealing all these diamonds for?" she asks. Hobbs stays silent and doesn't give her an answer. His only focus was completing his mission with Laura's assistance. He takes Laura back to his place to discuss the details. While laying out the plan, he explains that every night at 9 o'clock, the office becomes a ghost town. Only 2 guards remain on duty on the ground floor. He tells her, "For the past 14 years, I've been cleaning the area outside the vault at exactly 9 p.m. That is the window I'll use to take the diamonds." Laura immediately pushes back, saying it's impossible. She explains that even if he gets there, he won't be able to open the vault. The security code changes every single week, and only the owner of the company has access to that code. Hobbs calmly replies, "Yes, I'm aware of that." He mentions that he once spotted the code while cleaning the boss's desk. But now, the boss has started keeping the code at his private residence. And that's exactly where I need your help, he says. You're going to attend the party at his house and bring that code back to me. Laura thinks it over, but remains skeptical. Even if I get you the code, she says, you still won't be able to pull it off. Then, Hobbs holds up a small bottle and makes a bold claim. He tells her that he can fit $1 million worth of diamonds into that one bottle. And that amount would be more than enough for both of them to disappear. When Laura gets home, his words keep echoing in her mind. After a long night of thinking, she finally decides to back Hobbs up. She attends the party, where she runs into the owner of an insurance company. Coincidentally, this was the same firm that insured all of the corporation's diamonds. As soon as she finds a moment, she slips away to her boss's private study. She starts searching everywhere for the code. But before she can find it, she hears footsteps approaching. Someone is coming toward the room, and she's trapped. Desperate to stay hidden, Laura ducks out of sight just as her boss walks in. He needed to grab something from his personal safe. As he types in the combination, Laura watches closely from her hiding spot and memorizes the movements. Once the boss leaves, she easily opens the safe herself and retrieves the code. At that moment, the plan seemed simple enough. But a heist this big never goes off without a hitch. The next morning, as soon as Laura walks into the office, she notices something new. CCTV cameras have been installed throughout the building. She finds Hobbs immediately and tells him the bad news. It's over, she says. We can't do this anymore. She explains that there are now 8 cameras in the office, with one positioned directly in front of the vault. Stealing the diamonds now seemed like a suicide mission. Hobbs is clearly worried, but he refuses to back down. He asks Laura if there's any loophole they can exploit. After thinking it through, Laura points out a flaw in the system. The cameras are there, but the guards only have 4 monitors to watch. Each monitor switches between 2 different camera feeds. The footage on the screens rotates every 60 seconds. In simple terms, she says, you only have a 1-minute window when the guards aren't looking at the vault. You'll have to finish the entire job in that 60-second gap. Hobbs nods and says, fine. I'll open the locker and get inside within a minute. Laura looks at him like he's crazy. Don't be ridiculous, Hobbs. You're not young anymore. Running in and out in 60 seconds is impossible. You'll get caught. She turns to walk away, ending the conversation right there. But Hobbs grabs her hand and looks her in the eye. You've already given me the code, he says firmly. Now you're committed to this mission, no matter what. Despite her fears, Laura realizes she has no choice but to see it through. The next day arrives, the day the plan goes live. Hobbs heads toward the security monitors first. As soon as the vault's camera feed disappears from the screen, Hobbs hits the timer on his stopwatch. He has exactly 1 minute to reach the vault and get it open. At the very same moment, Laura makes a call to the guard to create a distraction. The guard picks up the phone, but there is nothing but silence on the other end. Taking advantage of the distraction, Hobbs runs to the vault, unlocks it, and slips inside. Suddenly, he is surrounded by a sea of glittering diamonds. Following his plan, he begins gathering specific gems into his bottle. The moment he finishes, he manages to step out of the vault just in time. He had successfully completed his mission during the exact window when the camera feed was off the monitors. With the job done, he prepares to head home. But just as he's about to leave the London Diamond Corporation, a guard stops him. Hobbs feels a surge in nerves. The bottle of diamonds is right there in his hand. However, it wasn't what he feared. He hadn't been caught. The guard had only called him back because the restrooms were in a mess and needed cleaning. After finishing his work, he finally makes it home. Once inside, he opens the bottle and pours the contents into the sink. To our surprise, only coffee spills out. There isn't a single diamond in sight. Did Hobbs fail to steal the diamonds after all? The next morning, Laura arrives at the office. Seeing the sheer chaos, she immediately realizes that the company has discovered the theft. But she is baffled. She thought Hobbs was only going to take 1 small bottle of diamonds. The vault held 2 tons of diamonds. How could anyone even notice if a single bottle went missing? While lost in thought, she is summoned to the vault room herself. When she steps inside, she is absolutely stunned. The entire vault was empty. Not a single diamond was left. She couldn't wrap her head around how Hobbs had pulled this off. How could one man move 2 tons of diamond alone? And he did it without a truck, a car, or any help. She rushes to Hobbs and demands answers. How did you do this? She asks. Our deal was for 1 bottle of diamonds, but you took everything. Hobbs, have you lost your mind? But Hobbs remains completely silent. Laura fires question after question at him, asking where he hid them and how he moved them. Still, Hobbs doesn't say a word. Meanwhile, the London Diamond Corporation brings in a team of elite investigators. Their sole mission is to track down the thieves. The lead investigator notices Hobbs and Laura talking, which raises immediate red flags. Because of this, he calls Hobbs in for questioning. Laura is terrified. After work, she meets Hobbs at a hotel to find out what happened. What did the investigator ask you? She whispers. And please, just tell me, where are the diamonds? Hobbs simply looks at her and says, when the time is right, you'll know everything. The following day, a mysterious contact reaches out to the CEO of the London Diamond Corporation. He tells the CEO that if he wants his stolen diamonds back, it will cost him £100 million. The CEO, desperate, asks if he knows the identity of the thief. The man replies that he doesn't know the thief and has never even met him. He was simply hired to deliver the message. The letter stated very clearly, if the money isn't paid within 48 hours, the company will be ruined. Back at the office, the investigator calls Laura in for a meeting. Since he had seen her with Hobbs multiple times, his suspicions were growing. His first question is blunt. Why do you spend so much time with Hobbs? Laura calmly responds, because he's a good man. He's my friend. The investigator couldn't find any solid evidence against her yet, so he lets her go for the time being. Seeking more control over the situation, Laura meets with her senior officer and asks for permission to work directly with the investigation team. She tells him, I want to be part of this investigation so we can find the thief as quickly as possible. I want to make sure the company stays stable. The officer grants her permission, but Laura's real motive for joining the investigator was to keep a close eye on him. She needed to know exactly how close he was getting to the truth. Now, Laura and the investigator began working side by side. The investigator had uncovered some very critical information, which he immediately took to the CEO's office. While there, he sees the head of the insurance company has also arrived. The CEO of the London Diamond Corporation tells the insurance head, we need £100 million in 2 days. That is the only way we can pay the thief and get our diamonds back. The insurance man is stunned. I don't have that kind of money, he says. If I paid you that much, I'd be completely ruined. The CEO remains cold. That's not my concern, he snaps. You have 48 hours to find that money from somewhere. If you don't, the thief will never return those diamonds to us. Then, the investigator speaks up and tells the CEO this theft was definitely an inside job. The vault was open normally, which means the thief knew the code. They must have stolen it directly from your home. Hearing this, the insurance head turns his anger toward the CEO. He begins to suspect that the CEO staged the whole theft just to pocket the £100 million. If this is a setup, the insurance man warns, I will file a massive case against you. The CEO is outraged. Do you really think I'd take such a huge risk? I haven't gone crazy yet. Now, listen to me carefully. If that money isn't ready in 2 days, I will make your life a nightmare. I've paid you millions in premiums over the years. Now, give me my money. Otherwise, I will bring you down to the ground. After the meeting, the investigator and Laura step out of the room. The investigator looks at Laura and says, you know, all my suspicions are pointing at you. On the night of the heist, you and Hobbs were spotted near the office. I'm certain you are involved in this. Laura doesn't flinch. You have no proof, she replies. Besides, I couldn't possibly move that many diamonds. Feel free to start any inquiry you like, but you won't be able to arrest me. You have no evidence, and I am not a criminal. With that, she walks away. As they were talking, one of Laura's colleagues rushes over with shocking news. The CEO had been killed. Apparently, news of the massive theft had leaked to the media, and they had swarmed his house. He had died from the sheer shock of the situation. Laura is devastated by the news. She excuses herself and heads to the washroom, tears streaming down her face. She felt a crushing weight of guilt, believing she was responsible for the CEO's death. As she stands there, her earring suddenly slips and falls into the sink. To get it back, Laura unscrews the pipe under the sink, and there, she finds a single glittering diamond. In that moment, the realization hits her. She finally understands how Hobbs got all those diamonds out of the building. He didn't need a truck or a car. She immediately leaves the office and finds a nearby sewer manhole. She climbs down into the darkness of the sewer system. Deep inside the tunnels, she finds Hobbs. He was standing there, covered in filth, waiting. "You're very clever, Laura," he says. "You finally figured out my secret." Laura looks at him, overwhelmed. "What are you going to do with them now? Your plan was to sell them back to the corporation, but the CEO is dead." Hobbs remains focused. "I'm getting the money in 1 hour," he says. "And until then, you aren't going anywhere." He grabs her hand to stop her, but Laura fights back and tries to move forward. In the struggle, the heel of her shoe gets stuck and breaks off. As she reaches down, she spots a very precious diamond caught in the water. She quickly picks it up and hides in her pocket. By now, Hobbs has caught up to her. "You stay here for 1 hour," he insists. Then, he asks her a sudden question. "Do you know how my wife really died?" Laura is confused. "Yes, she was sick," she says. Hobbs shakes his head. "No, she wasn't so sick that she had to die. Her treatment was possible, but the system failed her. That is exactly why I went to the insurance company," Hobbs explains. "I begged them for the money for her treatment, but they told me my wife wasn't sick enough yet. They told me I'd have to wait my turn." By the time his turn finally came, his wife's condition had become critical, and by the time she was finally admitted to the hospital, it was too late. She was gone. Hobbs says with a heavy heart, "If that insurance company had wanted to, my wife could have survived." But the owner of that company was a fraud. He had committed massive corruption within the national health insurance system. And because of his greed, many people, just like my wife, lost their lives. After hearing his tragic story, Laura finally realizes the truth. Hobbs didn't want revenge against the London Diamond Corporation itself. His real target was the owner of the insurance company, the man who was now responsible for insuring all the diamonds of the corporation. It had taken Hobbs 14 long years to perfect his plan. For 14 years, he worked as a humble janitor, biding his time. All of it was for this moment, to get justice for his wife from the man who let her die. The scene cuts to the owner of the insurance company, who is cornered by the investors of the London Diamond Corporation. They tell him, "If you don't give us the money and we don't get our diamonds back, things will end very badly for you. We will expose your frauds to the entire world. Every single one of your scams will be brought to light. You won't be able to show your face anywhere." Faced with total ruin, the owner of the insurance company is forced to hand over his entire fortune. With his life's work gone and his reputation destroyed, he takes his own life. The scene shifts back to the sewer tunnels, where Hobbs is explaining to Laura how he managed to steal so many diamonds at once. He says, "I was obsessively careful with the timing. The very minute the vault's camera footage left the monitor, I would slip inside. I would dump the diamonds into my trash bin and haul them out. Then I would go to the restroom and flush them down the drain into the water. I repeated this process over and over again, and that's how I cleared out the vault without the cameras ever seeing a thing." Hobbs then prepares to disappear. Eventually, Laura locates the diamonds hidden within the sewer system. She informs the investigators of the discovery, and just like that, the company gets its diamonds back. Hobbs takes the full responsibility for the theft in secret, while there was never any evidence to link Laura to the crime. As for Hobbs, he was never caught. He simply vanished. To save its own reputation, the London Diamond Corporation shows the diamonds to the media and claims the entire theft was nothing more than a false rumor. The scene shifts back to the present day, where the reporter is finishing her interview with Laura. The reporter asks, "Whatever happened to Hobbs?" Laura reveals that after that day, she never saw Hobbs again. However, many years later, she received a letter from a bank. It stated that Hobbs had transferred all the money he had successfully taken from the insurance company into her name. In the letter, He apologized for dragging her into his scheme. He admitted that he needed an inside employee to make the plan work. And since the company was already planning to fire her, she was the perfect choice for him. Laura hands a file to the reporter and walks away. Inside the file were the details of how she spent every cent of that money. She had dedicated the entire fortune to helping those truly in need. And with that, the story comes to an end. Thanks for watching.